Stop for a second. Whatever you're doing, pause it. Because what you're about to hear might quietly become one of the most important pieces of health information you come across this entire year. That's not an exaggeration. It's not meant to scare you. It's simply based on what the research now shows. And what, surprisingly, many people are still never told, especially after the age of 50. Here's the part that catches most people off guard. The information I'm about to walk you through doesn't come in a prescription bottle. It's not a new drug. It's not a breakthrough therapy being advertised on TV. And that's exactly why it's often overlooked. I'm a vascular biologist and cancer researcher, and I've spent over 25 years studying what actually prevents cancer at the cellular level. Not just treat it after the fact, but prevent the conditions that allow it to take hold in the first place. And over time, something became very clear. There isn't just one factor. There's a pattern, a set of daily behaviors that, when combined, create an internal environment where disease struggles to grow. This isn't speculation. A long-term study conducted through Harvard's T.H. Chan School of Public Health followed more than 116,000 adults over a period of 28 years. What they found was striking. Certain consistent daily habits were associated with up to a 61% lower overall cancer risk in adults over 50. Take a moment to let that number settle. 61%. Not from medication, not from a single intervention, from lifestyle patterns. Today, we're going to break down 5 of the most impactful components of that pattern. We'll go step by step, from the simplest foundation to the one habit that research suggests may have the most powerful effect of all. And I want to mention something early because it matters. The final habit on this list, number 1, is something the majority of people over 60 are currently doing incorrectly, and correcting it alone may dramatically shift long-term health outcomes. So it's worth staying all the way through. Before we begin, I'd like to ask you something. Take a second and think about this. Has a doctor ever sat down with you and talked about preventing cancer, not just screening for it? If you're comfortable, share your age in the comments and your answer to that question. I read through them, and they genuinely shape what gets covered next. Let's start with something that almost sounds too simple to matter, which is exactly why it's so often ignored. Morning hydration. Not throughout the day, not when you feel thirsty. Specifically, drinking about 16 to 20 ounces of water first thing in the morning, before coffee, before food, before anything else. Now, it's easy to dismiss this, but here's where things get interesting. As the body ages, something subtle begins to change. Your internal thirst signals become less reliable. In simple terms, your brain doesn't alert you to dehydration the way it used to. Research from the University of Barcelona found that many adults over 60 are operating in a state of mild chronic dehydration without even realizing it. And that matters more than most people think. Your body has a system responsible for clearing waste at the cellular level. It's called the lymphatic system. Think of it like an internal cleanup network, removing damaged cells, debris, and byproducts. That system relies heavily on fluid. When hydration drops, even slightly, that process slows down. And when that process slows down, unwanted cellular material can begin to accumulate. Over time, that contributes to inflammation. And chronic inflammation is now understood to play a key role in the early stages of many diseases, including certain cancers. Large-scale observational research, including findings from the Nurses' Health Study, has shown meaningful differences in outcomes based on daily hydration levels. Not from supplements, not from expensive interventions, from water. Here's how to make this simple habit effective. Keep a glass of water near your bed. When you wake up, drink it before anything else. No scrolling, no coffee first, no delay. Just start the day by giving your body what it quietly needs. Now here's where it gets even more effective. Pair this with light movement, even just walking around your home for a few minutes. Movement helps circulate fluids through the body, supporting that internal cleanup process. It's a small adjustment, but it compounds. And that brings us to something that builds directly on this foundation. Because what you introduce into your body after hydration matters just as much. There's a category of foods that has been part of human diets for thousands of years, across cultures, across continents, across generations. And only recently has modern science begun to fully understand why they matter so much. Fermented foods. Foods like yogurt, kefir, kimchi, sauerkraut, and miso contain naturally occurring beneficial bacteria. These bacteria interact with your gut, an environment that plays a much larger role in overall health than most people realize. As we age, the integrity of the gut lining can change. It may become more permeable, which means substances that are normally contained within the digestive system can begin to pass into the bloodstream. That can trigger widespread inflammation. And again, inflammation becomes the underlying theme. A study published in the journal Cell examined individuals who regularly consumed fermented foods. What they observed was an increase in microbial diversity in the gut, along with a measurable decrease in inflammatory markers. That combination matters because a balanced gut environment supports a more stable internal system overall. This doesn't require dramatic changes, just consistency. 1 to 2 servings of naturally fermented foods per day. Not highly processed versions, but those containing live, active cultures. To enhance the effect, pair these foods with sources of dietary fiber. Fiber acts as fuel for beneficial bacteria, so instead of just introducing them, you're helping them thrive. So now we've covered hydration and internal balance. But there's another factor that directly affects how your body uses energy, and this one changes everything. You've heard that walking is good for you, but there's a difference between casual movement and intentional, sustained activity. This is what researchers refer to as metabolic walking. It's not about intensity, it's about consistency and duration. Roughly 30 to 45 minutes, at a pace where you can talk, but not comfortably sing. Your body operates using fuel, primarily glucose and oxygen, and how those fuels are used can influence internal conditions. Sustained walking helps regulate circulating glucose levels while increasing oxygen delivery throughout the body. Large-scale data reviews have shown associations between regular moderate physical activity and reduced risk across multiple cancer types. Again, not as a cure, but as part of a pattern that supports healthier internal conditions. Over time, cellular energy systems become less efficient. Movement helps maintain those systems. It signals the body to keep producing and maintaining functional cellular components. 5 days a week, consistency over perfection, and ideally, earlier in the day. Combine this with hydration and, if possible, natural light exposure. Morning light helps regulate your internal clock, your circadian rhythm, which brings us directly to the most important habit of all. There's a group of vegetables that has been studied extensively for its role in cellular defense mechanisms. Broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, cauliflower, and especially broccoli sprouts. These vegetables contain compounds that, when activated, support the body's natural protective systems. Preparation matters. These compounds are activated when the vegetables are chopped or chewed, but excessive heat can reduce that effect. Light preparation, minimal cooking, or consuming in raw or lightly steamed forms. Even small adjustments in preparation can make a difference. You don't need large quantities, just regular inclusion. And now, we come to the one habit that ties everything together. If there's one area where small changes create large effects over time, it's this: sleep. But not just getting rest. Quality and timing matter. While you sleep, your body runs internal maintenance processes: repair, regulation, cleanup. Certain phases of sleep are especially important for these functions. As we get older, sleep patterns often become fragmented, and natural biological signals, like melatonin, decline. That combination can reduce the effectiveness of overnight repair processes. When sleep is consistently disrupted, internal systems don't function optimally. Over time, that imbalance can contribute to long-term health risks. Consistency. Going to bed and waking up at similar times. Reducing light exposure before sleep. Keeping the sleeping environment cool and dark. Avoiding late meals. Morning light exposure, daytime movement, and evening darkness all work together to support better sleep quality. Here's the most important thing to take away from all of this. None of these habits are extreme. None require expensive treatments, and none are out of reach. But together, they create an environment where your body functions the way it was designed to. And that matters at any age. It's not about perfection. It's about direction. Small, consistent steps every single day. If this gave you something to think about, consider subscribing. And in the comments, tell me which of these habits feels easiest to start with, and which one has been the hardest to maintain. I'll be reading.